I was watching a YouTuber the other day, right? Her name's Martina, and you can find her on YouTube. She speaks on different things to do with the spiritual world and the Bible and lots of Bible lessons and stuff like that. And I was watching one of the videos, and this one was related to poverty and the spirit of poverty in particular, and what we've all been calling the spirit of poverty. And she said something interesting that I really want to share with you guys. She said that the spirit of poverty, or what we've been calling the spirit of poverty, isn't actually a spirit that's dedicated to controlling your finances, but rather it's the outworking or the consequences of not following certain biblical principles. And you can find a lot of these principles in Proverbs. So here's an example, right? Proverbs 13:4. The soul of the lazy man desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made rich. And now let me read the amplified version, right? Proverbs 13:4. The soul, and in brackets appetite, of the lazy person craves and gets nothing, for lethargy overcomes ambition. But the soul and appetite of the diligent who works willingly is rich and abundantly supplied. So let's just break that down, right? The soul, and in brackets appetite, of the lazy person craves and gets nothing, for lethargy overcomes ambition. Let's look at the definition of the word lethargy. A lack of energy and enthusiasm overcomes ambition. And what's the definition for ambition? The strong desire to do or achieve something. So essentially, a lack of energy and enthusiasm overcomes a strong desire to achieve or do something. But the soul and the appetite of the diligent who works willingly is rich and abundantly supplied. Let's look at the definition, the biblical definition of the word diligent. And if you don't know this, you can look at the Webster Dictionary of 1828, because a lot of the words in there was biblical definitions for the words translated into English. So looking at that, it says here the word diligent means a steady application to business, constant effort and exertion to accomplish what is undertaken. So that's the characteristics of a person who is abundantly supplied and rich. Now let's look into it a little bit deeper. Proverbs 12:24, Amplified Bible. The hand of the diligent will rule, but the negligent and lazy will be put to forced labor. And if you look at the Message version of this same verse, Proverbs 12:24, it says the diligent find freedom in their work. The lazy are oppressed by work. So what we have all been calling the spirit of poverty is actually us not having the right character and the right outlook on how to make money and how to be prosperous as believers. A lot of our attitude is lazy. A lot of our attitude is looking out at the world and seeing that it works for them and money comes quickly for them. And so we try to do the same thing, right? Without understanding that we're operating in different realms. This is a totally different kingdom. There's totally different ways of getting to the goals that you're after. And this is proof of that. Being diligent is what makes you rich. Giving, so it can be given unto you, is what makes you rich in the kingdom of God. You reap what you sow. In the world, it's all about hoarding. It's all about taking from someone else, right? It's all about stepping over other people. But in the kingdom of God, you give to receive, right? Now check this verse out. Proverbs 24:30-34. I went by the field of a lazy man, and by the vineyard of the man lacking understanding and common sense. And behold, it was all overgrown with thorns, and nettles were covering its surface. Its stone wall was broken down. When I saw, I considered it well. So this person's obviously looking and they're looking at the outcome of this vineyard, this place, right? That things are overgrown, everything's broken down, and he's looking and he's wondering what's going on here. He's considering what happened. And he says, I looked and received instruction. So the situation ministered back to him what happened here. Why were these the consequences? And he says this, yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, a daydream, then your poverty will come as a robber and your want like an armed man. This is telling us, right, when we're not diligent or we're not constantly putting in work. Remember, diligence is different to toil. Let's look at that. To toil is to labor, to work and exert strength with pain and fatigue of body or mind, particularly of body, with efforts of some continuance or duration. So you're working very hard for a very long period of time for minimal rewards back. That's what it means to be toiling. There's actually a reference here that mentions Luke 5, verse 5 to 6. And it says this, Simon answered, Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything, but because you say so, I will let down the nets. When they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So basically they were toiling all night and Jesus came along and he had a few words with them. I'm paraphrasing here. But then he told Simon, hey, look, cast your net over there and you're going to get some fish. So he did, and they were able to do that, right? They were able to get a harvest. And this goes back to the principles of following the Lord, because the Lord can tell you where to go in a very short period of time. He can tell you how to get there, what to do, how to do it, when to do it, so that things create a harvest in your life. In this situation, they'd been working hard all night and they'd caught nothing. And Jesus said, hey, just cast your net over there. And they did, and they were able to receive a harvest. So to wrap this message up, I wanted to make it clear to you guys that poverty isn't necessarily a spirit, but rather in terms of Bible principles, it's us not understanding what we need to do in order to get a particular outcome. And when you get into the word, when you get into the Proverbs, when you look at the way the kingdom works, there are plenty of principles that I can say that throughout my life I haven't necessarily practiced. And that may be the reason why some of us have struggled with business and finances and that type of thing. I'm not saying that people can't try to curse you and try to curse your finances and stuff like that, but it says in the Bible that a curse without a cause will not land. So if you're in the right standing with God and your finances are still taking a hit, or you just can't move forward financially, right, in terms of prosperity, then it may be because you're not aware of these principles or you're not practicing things in the right way. So we need to seek the Lord and become more informed in how to do things, when to do them, where to do them, and he'll guide us, man. He'll guide us. It all goes back to the word. It all goes back to these principles. If we put them into practice, right, and we operate in the way that we're expected to in the kingdom, we will get what we say. We will get what we ask for. There will be results in our lives to show that. There will be fruits in our lives. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. If you have anything you guys want me to discuss in the future, let me know. Stay blessed.